on to 8.7.
So before you jump that section, there's one thing that occurs to me with that section is that, you know, we want to have rules that keep things under control, but at the same time, the coffee shop, the taco place, all of those are sort of incubator businesses that might eventually move into a storefront. And without that tier of, you know, an ability to start a business like that, we might not ever get a coffee shop or a taco, you know, restaurant and things like that. But this whole discussion to me brings us back to policy 4, where we were talking about whether I-73 should have a different overlay than a 220/150. And this discussion seems to me to differentiate that. Like, we don't want to block outdoor sales on 220 because it serves a need there, but we definitely don't, I don't think, want to have any businesses adjacent to I-73 kicking up outdoor sales in RV lots and whatever else we're talking about. And the comp plan does discuss having scenic corridors for 150 and 220 and a second version for I-73. And that's where the comp plan does not correlate to the UDO in that regard. Big bomb out in the road.
Well, it just makes me think about what do you do with the
Ready
journey.
to move into 8.7, see?
That's a great,
You
that's
wanna
a
keep-
good point. We don't want that to happen either. So how do we address that?
I balance this regulation with comp plan policies for local businesses.
Yeah. How, along scenic corridors as well.
It still is a scenic corridor.
And,
And it-
It's the same scenic corridor.
And I think as long as there's a process and we don't hold them up doing it, it won't stifle it. So they can still be encouraged to come in and create a customer base and then move into a shop and open
Yeah,
up.
I think all that's
I see what you're
great.
saying, and that's cool. And as long as we have a process and they come in and we don't hold them up on it, and it's nothing ridiculous. Where they come in, we review their parking, we require where they're gonna be at. We're gonna take a look at what they're putting up, what's it gonna look like. Walk them through it, approve
I
it,
think-
and let them go.
I think-
Well, that's
It should
fine,
get
I'm
checked.
talking about how, so we make
Yeah.
that, so I-73, imagine, you know, Armfield West is on the west side of I-73, and there's that long slice of abandoned that has been recently purchased, I thought. It's been for sale for a long
It's like
time.
26. like that, yeah.
Comes down off of Oak Ridge Road,
Yeah.
and it's not a great place for homes.
Mhm.
But what, you know, what if they want to put in massive outdoor sales thing with,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
signs and stuff?
Blowing.
That to me seems like a different use, a different case than 220 and I-50.
Is 220 considered a scenic corridor?
it was not yet developed, but it was created as a scenic corridor.
Not very scenic.
Well, for some of the, a
Most of
lot of
it's
the,
pre-existing.
any sign that's tall was, say, any property with a tall sign
Yeah.
was built before the scenic corridor.
I
or
mean,
was-
this is a great point, because 220 is more of a commercial corridor, and then we call it a scenic corridor.
The scenic corridor has to do with
73.
signs, trees, setbacks, that type of stuff. That doesn't inhibit a food truck.
But 73 has different setback requirements.
Right, but I mean, that's what we're talking about, where it's, I mean, I see your point, but I don't think that you can make changes. I think the scenic corridor, the way we have the wording in here, should apply wherever a scenic corridor is, and not say, oh, we'll make another scenic corridor location exempt from this, or,
You
you
can't
see
do
what I
that.
mean?
I just bought that land.
Yeah.
No, but if they have different designations, that's what I'm saying. Call one a scenic corridor and call another one a commercial corridor, whatever you're gonna, however you're gonna designate. It seems to me I-73 should be treated differently because it is
This
still
policy itself
forestry.
seems to say that major travel corridors should be prioritized with higher appearance standards. Does this mean prioritize them for higher standards or for
Higher economic.
bringing them up to speed first? What do you think this policy means?
Well, I don't know how much we're supposed to be reading into the notes and commentary down the bottom of
That's good
policy
too.
8. And I think I saw something in the action items related to it too, but in that third paragraph on page 70, where is it, 70? That's where it talks about a second overlay district for the I-73 scenic corridor versus the second paragraph calling out, you know, overlay districts for 220 and 150. And that, you know, in there it has controls for screening of outdoor storage as activity, standards for signage, fences, landscape parking areas, but then down below, more prescriptive standards for I-73.
So why don't we think about this one and start our next meeting talking about this again?
That's fine.
Because I mean, I think this is a valuable discussion to have. I don't think we're gonna come up with the words tonight, but maybe noodle on the words that.
And maybe for the committee, Carrie, you could summarize what the setbacks and stuff are for the I-73, for 220 in the scenic corridor, so we can see if there are differences.
Okay.
Looks like they're the same.
Okay.
Okay,
I hear you, Bob. I wasn't looking at you, so I'm going to sort of summarize the differences. Yeah, that'd be a good exercise.
Is there might be
So-
opportunity.
our next meeting is the 17th.
18.
18th if it's a Thursday.
It is the 18th. And I will be,
I'm up.
just to let everyone know, I'm gonna be in California on that date.
So why do we need to know the specifics of where you're gonna be? Because it's warmer or?
Happens to be where I'm traveling. So
Rubbing it in our faces.
you will be running.
Oh, you say that,
So
so
good.
if we want him to bring stuff, you know, back from California to us, we can put our orders in.
Avocado.
Fruits and nuts.
Marijuana just went.
Yeah, that's right. Buy out, drive fast.
There's no wine, but avocados.
Whole other
Oh,
ordinance.
that's right, it's on January 1st.
Older statute.
So Jason, you will be revisiting your conversation, your thought to start the next meeting. Any other things that anyone wants to bring up before we have one public comment period? Okay, Todd, it's all you.
I'm okay.
You're good? Then we don't have any more public comments. Thank you all, and glad to see everyone back.
Just a reminder for those who haven't filled out the survey for Jesse, Piedmont Tribe Regional Council, please do so by next week.
Are we doing homework, or has homework due for the next meeting, or?
That's a, so are we gonna do we can't do the education homework. So the next policy area would be 11?
I think it's the Summerfield Road. Yeah.
Historic
Summerfield
preservation.
Road focus area, historic preservation, and we had a note
Yes.
for limited services, local government.
So it'd be Summerfield Road would be the next homework assignment.
Yes.
So we would get that to everyone by when, Carrie?
My promise is tomorrow, that standard protocol is that I'll do it tomorrow, end of day.
And it will be due by the Monday before? The 15th? Okay, good question.
Do you-
This is a federal holiday, just so everybody knows, Gary probably won't be working.
So make it so.
15th is Martin Luther King?
Yep.
Is that right? So do you want the homework due the 16th, Carrie, since you won't be there on the 15th?
Yeah, it'll be less time for you guys to read it ahead before you come to the meeting. Are people able, when I send the consolidated comments back to you, are you able to review them before you come into the meeting?
Yeah.
So I'm sending them back to you on that Wednesday usually. So you just give me, well, I did it before, I can probably do that.
Or would you prefer everyone try and get it to you so you have most of the day? If we get it to you by that Monday.
the same?
Yeah, just have it due Monday, and then Carrie, you'll have it when you come in.
We saw it Monday.
Yeah, we'll still send it to you on Monday, and then you'll have it on Tuesday.
Okay, so it's no different for me.
No.
I wasn't paying attention to the calendar.
No, we'll get it to you, we'll send it to you by Monday.
Awesome. It is
I
hard, it is
I
hard.
still
About the special
I
call
still gotta
meeting
find
on
that survey.
16th.
I saw it.
What is that?
Can you remind everybody about the special call meeting on the 16th?
Is that the one at Lutheran
About
Church?
the, yes.
Well, I mean,
We're doing just,
So everyone, what's that?
are we doing just 10 or also?
What?
Yeah, are we just gonna do 10? Is it meaty enough for one homework assignment?
What is,
We gotta finish
what,
up at 8.
Or do we do 11? Well, we've already done 8 as homework.
we still have to finish 8.
we have to finish 8, and then we'd come to 10.
Yeah, so for homework, we need to do 10 and 11 for the next meeting.
I think 10 and 11 are good together anyway, in light of what our earlier conversation.
Yeah, I mean, we have 12 on the schedule for the next meeting too, to talk about.
I was suggesting to have the town manager give a little preview on sort of the logic behind that limited local services, or local government. We'll sort of lay out the vision for how the planning department would be staffed and how the ordinance would be implemented.
So if we can't get the education presenter at the next meeting, would that be an appropriate time to have that presentation? And is this, Scott, you're saying come present? That could be the backup.
What we're expecting the Guilford County school system person to explain is how they go about looking into the future, identifying where new schools will be needed, how far out they go, and then how they interact with local governments. It'll be interesting to hear how this person describes that. And then you can look at the UDO for how well it, how the town wants to interact when it's identifying potential sites and working with the school board.
But hopefully we'll get the school person to present.
Yep.
It's not a bad idea, though, if they can't present.
Yeah,
you could-
have Scott as a
you could
backup.
introduce the policy area 12 with the discussion from Scott.
And then did you want to bring up the
Special
meeting?
call meeting, October 16th at the Lutheran Church on 220,
October,
or January, I'm sorry.
January 16th,
What am I already, what
Lutheran Church on,
What did I say,
Ahead of time or
October?
behind time?
I don't know, I was thinking about October for some reason. So anyway, yeah, it's January 16th at the Lutheran Church on 220. It's to discuss the master plan, information that we've gotten back from the two architectural firms that we've hired to
What time?
design that master plan area for the Summerfield Road, 150 intersection.
what time?
It's at 6 to 7, yeah, that's right. We made
7
it
at the
7.
And there is room for public comments, correct?
I don't see the agenda.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
I think
Yeah,
you'll
there are
see
going to
we
be
are
an
pushing.
opportunity for public comment.
I'm sure
When
there
we
will.
talk with the mayor, we're going to make sure that's going to be part of our new policy for more transparency, make sure the public does have a right to get up and say something about what we're looking to spend big money on.
So where
Which
is
follows
Lutheran
in
Church?
suit with something that you said earlier, Dave, about land acquisition, trying to get public output, so that's exactly what, as at least I know, those of us who were coming and knew it's one of the things we ran on, and we were really trying to push that hard.
Where's the Lutheran Church? 220 and what?
Right at near
That reminds me
Scalesville.
that I think
Right
I
near Scalesville Road, just before
150
Scalesville.
roster today and I
Yeah,
didn't bring
just
it.
south.
Just south.
It's on the, or just south. On the right. That church.
I emailed it. I wanted to ask John,
Right before you get to the light.
would you introduce your new backup?
Oh, sure, I'm
That's
sorry.
putting in the roster?
Yeah, I was officially made the liaison for the UDO committee at the last council meeting, and Todd Rothrock will be the backup. because I can't make it. So that's Todd, you know all the Todd.
Thank you all.
And what's a complete meeting?
Meeting adjourned.
Too bad.
Yeah, I
It's a whole other state. Oh, my wife.